Good afternoon and welcome. Chris Principe, the publisher of Financial IT, here live at Money 2020. Really one of the most exceptional events that we get here in the financial space in Europe. It's an event where everyone comes to because they need to. Money 2020 really does a great event. And I want to mention that we're in the host country of the Netherlands in the city of Amsterdam. Really a fantastic place to come, whether you're coming for business or pleasure. And talking about pleasure, I have the pleasure of being here with my guest, Aaron. Aaron, thank you very much for joining us at Financial IT.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Please tell us a little bit about the company.
Yeah, so we are Kani. It's a cloud-based software platform that allows fintechs and payment companies to aggregate their data into one place. We then normalize, standardize it, clean it up, and then we do reconciliation of that data and error checking and reporting. So essentially, we'll take data from Mastercard or Visa, from a transaction processing platform like Thread or FIS or Marqeta, and then we'll check that those the outputs from those companies actually match each other. And if they don't, we'll explain to our clients, who are typically banks and financial institutions, why they don't match and what they can do to fix it.
So really interesting, because it sounds like you're the backbone of how the whole process is, that the real work is being done by you. I mean, audit trail reporting, all these things are foundational, right? So how do you help your clients meet those challenges?
So you're absolutely right. They are foundational. That's the right way to describe it. Every regulated company, like these banks and financial institutions, usually have a regulatory obligation to make sure that they are reconciling these data outputs, make sure that they know where all of their money is at all times. And if they don't do those things, they're subject to regulatory censor, to financial loss through fraud or misallocation of funds, and often significant reputational issues as well. So the number one thing that banks and financial institutions need from their customers is trust. And customers will only trust banks and financial institutions that have their house in order, that don't have these error events where they're mishandling money or not reconciling and misallocating funds. So it's absolutely critical that we do that.
I find it really interesting that you mentioned trust, because I have a good friend who's a CEO of a bank, and he says, I don't worry about a lot of things. Really, the only thing I worry about is reputational risk.
Yes.
Because if the bank is looked at as untrustable, then our business, but if we get fraud and we lose money, we can manage with that.
Exactly.
If we have bad loans, we can manage that. But you guys provide such a service.
It's absolutely critical. I mean, the number one thing that these financial institutions need is to be seen as having their house in order. And they can only do that if they have appropriate technology systems and the right expertise to do both of those things, and really make sure that they are on top of this at all times. So there's increasing pressure, not just from regulators, but also from customers. Customers will not tolerate seeing stories come out in the press about misallocation of funds, or fines from regulators for not reconciling cleanly. So it's incredibly important. And the organizations that use our platform understand how important that is, and that's why they use us.
So when you're working with the customer, do you find similar challenges, or are there new things always popping up?
New things are always popping up. I mean, one thing that we find is that, data that originates from Mastercard and Visa is very good because it's of a very kind of consistent standard. But every processing platform, so all the likes of FIS and Paymentology and I2C and Marqeta, they all have their own different specifications for the data they output. So the firms that need to meet this reconciliation challenge usually have a problem where they have to navigate these very large, very complex data sets that may be very variable depending on which partners they work with in the sector. So I think really it's a challenge of not just being able to scale to the existing challenge on the market, but also keep track of the new regulations that are coming in. So particularly in Europe, for example, and in the UK, the UK regulator is now strengthening the requirement for safeguarding, which is essentially protecting customers' money, and it's because of previous failures in the industry. As an example of a company called Ipigu that had a regulatory failing due to safeguarding. And as a result, regulators are now responding by increasing the amount of what they expect from their regulated companies.
So Aaron, you mentioned something there that I want to touch upon. And it's well, for me, as well as for you, I'm sure, an exciting development. Can you tell us a little bit about your Mastercard partnership?
Yes, really exciting for us. We went through the Mastercard Start Path program, which is essentially an accelerator program where Mastercard selects high growth companies that can add to their value chain. The output from that Start Path program was we've now worked with Mastercard to develop our product, and we've now signed a partnership agreement. So Mastercard are now actively referring us to banks and financial institutions in various places. So South Africa, for example, is one of the most recent clients that we onboarded, was a tier 1 bank there through Mastercard's referral. And our plan over the long term is to increase the number of referrals that Mastercard provide, and ideally in the very long term, to work with Mastercard on actually promoting our product alongside the Mastercard account management team to customers globally.
Boy, really exciting. I mean, Mastercard is top leader in the industry, so it's an exciting partnership. And you're talking about exciting partnerships. What brings Kani to Money 2020?
Combination of a few things. I mean, we come every year. We normally exhibit. It's I think the flagship event for Europe. We do find that a lot of our partners and customer companies are here, and then critically, it does give us the opportunity to catch up with partners like Mastercard in person as well. I think particularly since the sort of post-lockdown world where a lot of people are working from home, this is actually a really good opportunity for us to get face-to-face with our customers, and you can't really replicate that contact time through the screen. It's much better to be able to see clients and partners in person.
Well, speaking as somebody who's worked for homes really since last century, I really understand that. And, while that's the past, what I'm really interested in hearing from you with your experience, your knowledge of this industry is, what do you see as the future?
It's going to be the answer that I think is on everybody's lips at the moment. I think AI is, there's no avoiding it. The advancement of AI over the last 12 months has been really quite astonishing. We're exploring ways to deploy agentic AI within our platform, to do not just interrogation of data, but also proactively to do things like automatically reconcile data sets with no user input required. It's interesting though, if you wind the clock back to the previous shows, even a couple of years ago, I think the answer to that would have been crypto. That was what everybody was talking about. We've noticed a distinct absence of crypto companies here versus in previous years. So, you may find in 2 years' time that I'm wrong, but I have a funny feeling that AI is going to be forefront of everybody's discussion points for at least the next 2 or 3 years.
Well, I don't disagree. And really, for me, going around as I have at the event, AI has been a big buzzword.
Yeah.
So how do you picture a scenario where AI embedded in your product will help your customers?
So it's very interesting in that AI can really kind of help the clients that use our platform, who are typically finance or operations team members, in order to get them answers more quickly. However, when we're dealing with reconciliation, it's accuracy that's the key. As we know, a lot of the large language models, they're very good at kind of working through what the next word or the next structure of the sentence should be. But when it comes to financial reconciliation, getting the number right is the most important thing. So we do actually find that some of the more traditional neural networks are sometimes better at this. And then just good old-fashioned rules-based reconciliation is actually often the most effective way to do it, because then it allows you to very quickly interrogate those data sets, make sure that everything is accurate. So I think it'll certainly help in terms of efficiency, but we're not throwing the baby out with the bathwater, so to speak. We have to keep our eyes solely on accuracy.
Well, it's an interesting point that you make, because so many people, like you mentioned, speak about AI as being the end all, and here what you've described sounds like a very reasonable approach of a mix of the reconciliation systems that you say that are rules based with AI, assisting the whole thing.
Exactly, it's a complementary tool. It's not the answer to everything, and I think as long as you have that in mind and you have accuracy first and foremost, then you can develop the product as we are doing in the right way. I think there is a risk doing it the other way. If you assume that AI will solve all your problems, it won't.
Well, great. I mean, I really enjoyed talking with you. I appreciate Kani and yourself, Aaron, spending some time with Financial IT. Wish you the best of success going forward, and enjoy the rest of the show.
Thank you very much.
Great. Thanks.